Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Ralph, and I just want to say hi to all the new people. I do game reviews and playthroughs. Now, I'm not a journalist or anything. I'm just a dad with kids that does YouTube when I can. But I go into every game blind and will always give you my raw opinion about a game. And with that being said, let's start the video. So my best friend asked me if I've ever played Strangers of Paradise Final Fantasy Origin, and he found it crazy that I said no. So he ended up buying it for me, and all I could say was, man, why haven't I checked this game out sooner? I really love this game, and with it being Final Fantasy / Dark Souls, it was like having the best of both worlds, but they also had some bad stuff with it too. Let's talk about the story. Your character Jack, along with his other companions, are the Warriors of Light, trying to vanquish the darkness and find and kill chaos. It's a pretty straightforward story, and honestly, not the best story in the world. There was so many twists and turns, sometimes I didn't even know what was going on until the very end of the game. But just like in Dark Souls, we're not here for the story. Let's talk about the world. Strangers of Paradise has you going to many different locations, and to be honest, I loved every single one of them. With all the places having the classic Final Fantasy music playing in the background, had me loving the levels even more. And with the levels feeling pretty decent in length, and many different hidden rooms with loot, it made the levels feel like it just wasn't one straightforward path, even though it really was. A couple of levels stood out more than others, and visually, they weren't the most impressive, but some definitely had me stop and pan my camera. Let's talk about the gameplay. So the overall gameplay is pretty much like Dark Souls. You load into a level and make your way through it, fight enemies until you get to the main boss at the end of the level. The only difference is in this one, combat is more fast paced and your characters have Final Fantasy job classes from White Mage to Paladin to Ninja and so many more. I believe there's like 50 classes, some you get with the DLC. All the classes were pretty much fun to play, and they all felt different depending on what classes you are. You will see some of the same repeated moves over and over, but I thought the classes felt good, and one didn't seem more powerful than the other. Now, yeah, some classes are just better overall with stats and gear, but every class just felt great to play, and I was always trying to unlock all of them just to try it out. Let's talk about the combat. So this is the main highlight of the game. The combat is great. I really love the combat. I honestly never thought what I was missing in my life was a Dark Souls and Final Fantasy mix. I started off with Duelist and had double daggers, but when I started using Monk and subbed it with Tyrant and started using my fists like Tifa, I felt right at home. This combo let me infuse my weapons with different elements so I was able to rain down fury. And when haste was cast on us, it made for some crazy fast-paced combat. And when you start getting better gear, the stronger you feel. And there's so much loot in this game. You're going to be changing gear like every couple of seconds. I couldn't even go a couple steps without finding something way better to wear. They also have an appearance option, so you can look the way that you want while still wearing the gear to increase your stats. Combat is fast, and with you having a decent amount of skills and magic to choose from, it made all the fights you get into fun, especially when playing in multiplayer. Bosses were good too. Sometimes the difficulty in bosses jumps pretty high, especially when on higher difficulties. But it left for a lot of fun and chaotic times with my friends. Now the game did have some things it was lacking in though, which brings me to everybody's favorite part. Let's talk about the cons. So my first con is the story. Even though we don't play Dark Souls games for the story, this is still a Final Fantasy game. And you would hope that they had something decent. Now the story isn't all that bad, but it takes way too long to reveal everything. And when it did, I just felt like, meh. My second con is that the main character was so boring and very uninteresting. He seemed stuck up, and just some of the choices they used for the dialogue were just boring. And it made me want to skip the cutscenes so we can get back to the awesome fighting. My third con is the dumb NPCs. Oh my goodness, your companions are so stupid. They have got to be the dumbest AI companions I've ever seen. Every time I played solo, I had to sub White Mage just so I could make sure I healed myself. Until I really learned how to play, then I went back to my main build. The bad part is, I would say, well, you can join other people's games in the online mode so you don't have to play solo but unfortunately I couldn't find anyone to play with online. Luckily I had my best friend and his wife with me, so I didn't really have to go through any of that. Overall, I had a blast playing this game. I think the combat is done so well and the level designs are good too. From being a white mage to getting lots of loot, I give Strangers of Paradise a 9 out of 10. I really love the combat in this game, and the mix between Dark Souls and Final Fantasy works so well together despite the corny story. Let me know down in the comments below if you've played this game or not. And make sure you guys join the Discord. The link will be in the description below. You guys take care. Bye.